Okay, I think we're nearly ready. Oops. All right. We're all set up? Okay. Wow, this is the biggest this class has been so far. Well, thank you everyone so much for waiting. We had some logistical stuff come up as we were setting up today. The class was much bigger than we thought it would be, which is a great problem to have. And I'm really happy you're all here, so thank you for joining. For those who don't know me, my name is Cassie. I'm a local watercolor instructor and artist, and I love to teach classes. Right now I'm teaching at multiple senior communities and homes, and I just think it's super fun and really relaxing, and I love to teach so I can share that experience with others. People tend to find watercolors pretty frustrating, so I hope I can help you out with tips and show you some techniques to make it easier and more fun if you do get frustrated. But at the end of the day, we're just playing around with paint and water. So don't be too hard on yourselves if it's really difficult. It all takes practice. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? Uh-oh. Should is this a better volume? I guess not, but I'll try to speak louder and project across the whole hallway. I'll do my best. And let me know if you can't hear me at all. So today, if you've seen the flyer, we're painting chrysanthemums. And I've taught this to a few classes already, and I found that it's a little bit tricky. So I hope I can show you some tips and tricks to get the shapes of these flowers. On your table, you'll see you have one small sheet, one large. Well, while you're doing that, I'll continue to explain what supplies we have here. We have this gray ball. It's a tiny bit sticky. This is called a kneaded eraser. And I prefer this over the eraser on your pencil because it doesn't leave behind any shavings. You can erase just by pressing down, pressing and lifting. Okay. Okay. No worries. We have a overpopulation problem here. This is just for pencil. Good question. This is for erasing pencil. You can rub or dab. I'll show you how to use it when it comes time, but just so you know, that's what this is. Then you've got the pencil for sketching, and of course you have your, wait, I've got multiple palettes up here. I do have one more extra palette if you need it. We have a palette and the lid. The lid is for mixing the color, and this is for picking up the color. You also have one large brush and one small. These are both called round brushes, and the small one is for little details, the bigger one is for larger, bigger strokes. And I will be... Oh yeah, so with the new sets of palettes, you have also one brush right here. You can use that as well. I don't have that one in here. I think I lost one. But that one's even smaller if you want to use it for even smaller details. And then lastly, you should have paper towels and that little printout that I was just talking about. Now, I've got a couple of samples, but I'll do a more simplified version of this for us today. Now, this smaller sheet is for warm-up. So we're going to practice on here, experiment with the colors, experiment with shapes, get comfortable with the medium and drawing a little bit, and then we'll move on to this one later on in class. So I have more pencils too, if you need more supplies. For now, you can watch this part. I'm going to show you how to draw the shape of this flower. So I'll make it really big so you can see it. And let me zoom in some more. So I'll begin with an oval shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, I should be using, this is the eraser. That was by accident. I meant to use this one. So this one will not leave any eraser shavings because it's so sticky. It'll stick to itself. So the overall shape of the flower is this, and then what I'd recommend is maybe placing one dot. It's not in the middle, it's slightly towards the bottom so that we can show it tilting. And from here we'll just draw lots of little curves of varying sizes and shapes. They actually look better the more uneven they are, but in general they should be going upward and curving around, so they look like they're wrapping around this way. That's for the area above this line. So around this area we have all these curves. So if you want to go ahead and do that yourself, go ahead and draw on the smaller sheet on the top, maybe up here. You can make it even bigger if you'd like to, and start with this oval. What we're going to do after that is draw in a few more lines for the petals, and then we'll practice tracing it with a brush and some paint. So you can see how it will look once you paint it. When we get to the larger painting, you don't have to do the sketch if you want to try freehanding it, but for the sake of learning the shapes here and getting the sense of how to draw it, we're going to do that first with the pencil. So this is the outline. I'll draw another one as an example. And a dot. And all of the petals are going to sprout from that dot. Oh, is this hard to see? Something thicker, huh? Does this help at all? Okay. I'll make it really big. These can overlap a little bit. In general, it fits into kind of a U shape. And you do have this printout for reference. The main thing is that the lines curve up and maybe a little bit in. They go in this direction on the outsides. On this side, they're going to go this way. I'll come around and check. Oh, great. Yeah. That's just about right. You can make it fuller if you like to, but you've got the overall shape. That's what you gotta. Oh, thank you. I was afraid I might lose my voice by the end of the class. Do you need more of the supplies?
She's gonna watch now. She signed up for the class, but she's gonna watch.
Oh, okay. Hello. Whoa. Okay, thank you. That's a good start. Oh, what I would. This one's closer. This one's more of a spiral, but we want the lines to be wrapping around this way. Yeah, good question. I think everyone's getting the hang of it. Is it too far from here? Yeah, unfortunately this is pretty spread out. We'll do our best for now. Hello. Can everyone hear me better? Okay, great. This is nice. Not sure how I'll hold it. I'll do my best. Okay. Now, after you've drawn in these lines, we'll continue to add more. They'll be wrapping around the edges, It's just towards the bottom, they start to spread out and go downward. So I would say above this point here, they're all going up. And then below this point, they start to point downward. So this is going in this direction. This is just a guideline, but above this line is everything's going straight up. If I were to do this without that guideline one more time, above the line, it's going up, and then below the line, it starts to point downward more. And these can be very loose. I recommend making them less even. That'll make it look more natural if it's not so even. They can be a little bit closer to each other or more spread out. And that's the general outline of this flower. Yeah. So how many people do we have here today, Ann?
I think there's 12 or 13.
12 or 13. Okay. Big day today. So after this step, I'd recommend removing the oval on the outside. And you can rub with this kneaded eraser or just press down and dab. But if you press hard into the paper, it's going to be easier to rub it off. And this is so nice because it doesn't leave any eraser shavings behind. Yeah, just the very outside oval. That way you can just see the petals. That should be the only, sorry, this keeps moving. That should be the only part of the guideline that we're removing. So the next part, oops, I think I left the mic over there. Hold on. We're gonna take the red paint and then mix the pink color with it to trace the lines with. And this will give you some practice on how to paint the petals. So the color that I recommend, I've got a really old dirty palette, so it looks a little bit different from yours. This color that's next to the light green produces a pink if you dilute it a lot with water. So what I'm going to do is dip my brush, using the smaller brush, dipping it in the water, and then in the red here. If you rub it back and forth, it'll pick up lots of pigment. You put it in your palette like this to see how it looks. If you've got a brand new palette, they're gonna, it might not stick very well to the palette. It's gonna spread out, and that's normal. With more use, it'll stick better. So sometimes it's hard to see how it'll look on the paper until you test it out. So once you've got your own puddle of this pink here, I would just make a stroke somewhere on your sheet here to see how it looks. If it looks too dark, then I would add some water. I like how dark this one is. I think I'm going to keep it, but just for example's sake, this one's a slightly lighter version. And sometimes if you go directly from here to the paper, it makes a big puddle. Mine's puddling a little bit. What you can do is dry your brush on the paper towel a little bit like that before you put it on the paper. Then it won't leave so much water on your paper. That's one way. Another way is to brush or squeeze the water out from this edge here. So once you have a pink shade that you like, then what we're going to do is trace these lines here. And what I recommend for how you hold the brush is that the bristles follow the line that you drew. That's the easiest way to make it really smooth. Sometimes you might have to turn the paper to make it easier to follow that line. So if I turn it this way, it might be easier to make that curve. But if you just hold it like a regular pen, that's also okay. And for this step, what we're going to do is just trace all the lines that we made. This is our practice for painting this chrysanthemum. And the thinner you want your line, then the more upright you can hold your brush so that you can just use the tip. And if you want a thicker one, you could press down more. So one thing you can play with the brush is how much pressure you apply. That will change and alter how thick your brush strokes are. If you want a thicker petal, you can press down to spread those bristles out. We can start to paint on the bigger sheet because you got a little bit of practice in. It's a good time to get started on this one. So with this larger sheet, it's the same thing but bigger. You can sketch it out like we just did if you're more comfortable with that. That way you can see how big it looks on the paper. And with the time we've got today, I think doing about 3 or so, like in my sample here, is plenty. This one's a different style, so don't look at this one. This one is closer to what we're doing. I'll set this aside. Okay, so for those who want to sketch this part, I'm going to do the same thing that we just did. Big ovals. Is this too hard to see? Let me try, let me make some. Oh, I see. Let me see if I can adjust the screen. Because if I, oh, that didn't help. Yeah, I think maybe I just drew darker. Let me try making this really dark. So what I'm doing is drawing 3 big ovals as the placement for our 3 flowers on this larger sheet. Yeah, we're drawing 3 right now. And they don't have to be perfect. I think even this one looks like an egg. That's fine. Just needs to be a rough sketch. And then once you have these ovals, just like what we did earlier, I'll put a dot as the sprouting point for these petals towards the bottom. It's not in the middle, closer to the bottom of each one. So maybe one there, and one here. That's our reference point. I know this looks nothing like a flower right now, but it will. So I'm just going to do what I was doing earlier to finish up this sketch. I'll try to do this quickly, as some of you have gotten ahead of me. But since this is an art class, you can really do whatever you like. You don't have to follow me. They're all attached at this center point here. This is the only place where they're attached. No, this is one line it's like a C curve. So they're not closing. You can see the ends of the lines right here. Hold on. You can see the ends of the lines right here. So this is one line here. This is one here. This is one here. So they're not closing up. Yeah, these are like C curves. A lot of little C curves. Some of them are overlapping. They don't have to. Let me do one version where they don't overlap so you can see how that looks. Might be easier to let them. Yeah, I see yours are, they're more like spirals. So on yours, what I'm seeing is it's like this. But what we're looking for are lines that are all, like, I would say if I had to draw another line here, on the right side, they're going this way. On the left side, they're going this way. That might help you out a little bit. Okay. I've got these kind of strange looking things here. But with this, I can erase the circle or the oval I drew as a guideline. No longer need it. So I'm just going to go around. And since I drew it so dark, it's a little bit hard to erase. That's okay. And whenever you're ready, you could use the bigger brush or the smaller one to paint in these petals like we did earlier. Tracing these. If you didn't want your pencil line to show up too much, you could erase it lightly with a kneaded eraser before you start. And you can play with how thick your petals are, with how much pressure you apply with your brush. Or you can use multiple strokes per petal to make them thicker. These are all single strokes at the moment. And this looks a little bit sparse, so if I wanted this flower to look more full, I would add more lines or make them thicker. Let me try making them thicker. And then I will finish up with mine here before I come and check on the others. Let's do this quickly. How's everyone doing? This is a little bit tricky. This painting particularly focuses on brush strokes, shapes. Okay. That's where I'm going to take a break. It's going to look rusty like that. See, everyone's making good progress on their paintings. The last bit will be the stems and leaves. So for anyone who's interested in seeing that, I'm going to show you right now. And if you're not done with your flowers yet, that's okay. You can pause and watch. So here's a demonstration for the stems. And if you remember, we have this center point towards the bottom center of each flower. From each of those, we're going to draw the stem. You can imagine this one going behind that petal. Just draw more or less a straight line going behind down to the bottom of the page. And I recommend putting these towards the center so they look like they're sprouting from one spot. They don't have to converge. They can just be close. So 1, 2, 3 for my 3 flowers here. Later on we will trace this with a green color. Right here. And then for the leaves, I'll do a quick demonstration on how to do those. Wherever there's some empty space that you think they'd look nice, you can add it here. And start with a short line for however long you want it. And then on one side, you could make maybe 3 bumps and do the same thing on the other. Try to make it symmetrical. So I'll do it again here on this side. 1 line for the center. And then 3 bumps one side. 3 on the other. And you can just kind of place those wherever you like. I use the Kneaded eraser. Maybe I'll add one right here. I'm going to wrap up with the leaves here just by filling them in with green. Got 3 shades of green in this palette. I'm going to go with this one that's next to the white. And any one of them is okay, but I'm looking for something darker. So adding water to this, I'll start with the stem. And I'm keeping my wrist on the table to keep it more steady. It helps, even though my hand still shakes a little bit. Let's try this. Sometimes it takes a couple of strokes. And I'll just fill in this pencil drawing that I did. A bigger leaf. If you want to experiment, you can try mixing in different colors into this green. You can add maybe a bit of blue or purple, just a touch. It gives it some variation. So if I were to add a magenta to this, it would turn into this color. So a little bit purple. That's kind of cool. And remember, you've got that little sheet of paper as your swatch or test sheet. So if you're not sure what color you like, you can pull it out and test it out on here. Just make a little swatch and see if you like it. And if not, then you can make some adjustments. Maybe on this one I'll try adding some yellow to the green. And you can add as many leaves as you'd like. Earlier I got a question if they had enough leaves, and what you can do is fill them in first with the paint, and if it still looks empty, then you can keep adding more from there. You can keep adjusting as you go. Like I see some empty space on mine I don't like. I'm going to add another leaf here at the very bottom. Well, if you want, you can add these little, I'm not sure if they're leaves exactly, but little lines coming out from the center bottom part. If you look at the photo reference, that's what I was trying to say. There's these little lines coming out. That's optional. There we go.